Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Perfect Family Storms, where the storms just keep rolling in with Dr. Kathy. Tonight's topic is how pets help heal your lonely soul, Part 1. I have a very special guest, very special to my heart. Let me introduce my sister, Diana Dorsch. Hi, Diana. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, Kathy. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, thank you for calling in from Switzerland. We have a very exciting show for our listeners. We're going to explore how pets have an amazing power to heal our loneliness, despair, and depression that touches our soul in many ways that humans cannot reach. Diana shares her story of how a mother cow and a calf saved her life, but not without sacrifice. This is a gripping tale of the perfect family storm. And in one particular very dysfunctional family, the people became the animals, and the animals, on the other hand, behaved as people. I will let Diana tell the rest of the story, but let's get started with a little background first. Diana, what was it like when you first moved to Switzerland?
I had a lot of obstacles to overcome. It was also an economic strain because I did not find a job.
Right.
That was very depressing. Also, my son gave up a doctoral position in Florida with the hope of finding another position here, and he was not able to find a doctoral position and had to re-enter the university to start a second master's, which to me was putting his career another 2 years behind.
Yeah, so this is disappointing.
Our expectations were certainly not met. And there were still things that were being tied up in my new husband's relationship with his ex that also made it difficult here.
Yeah.
So, and I was very homesick for my own country.
Sure.
And
your family here, right?
And my family and my sister.
Right.
So it was beginning to become a very difficult time because my life was filled with disappointments. It was not as I thought it would be.
Right. I mean, sure. Oh, beautiful Switzerland, but acclimating to a new country, and even though that you spoke fluent German, the dialect was different. The people were different. And so
exactly.
And you were just, I can just imagine how alone you must have felt. And so you saw these animals. What were the animals that you saw?
Well, Bryant, my husband, had a nice little single-family home that bordered a pasture, a small pasture behind our backyard. And as I observed, there was a beautiful mother cow, a Holstein cow, black and white, and her little calf that grazed behind the house in this little pasture. Now, just to back up the story, the first time that I saw the calf, she couldn't have been more than a month old. And before I got married, Bryant had sent a picture of this little calf standing in the snow. We got married in December in Florida in 2009. In the beginning of November, he sent me this photograph of this little tiny 3-4-week-old month calf standing in the snow.
Aww.
The next time I saw this little calf was in March of 2010 when I moved to Switzerland. And I noticed as I moved into the house, the mother cow and the little calf, the same little calf in the photographs that Bryant had sent me. And obviously, I looked at them and ran to the refrigerator and got a few apples and cut them up because I knew at least at that point that cows do eat apples because they graze in pastures with apple trees, so it wasn't difficult. So to figure that one out. And they came up to the fence, and I fed them apples. And it was just, I don't know, can you say love at first sight?
Yes.
It was very endearing. And I also observed that the cows were not out very often. I maybe only saw them in the beginning once or twice a week. And that was when I became more involved than going to the farm and finding out why they were not out every day.
Yeah.
And finding out that they were locked up in their small little shed in deplorable conditions.
Really?
And that's sort of how the whole relationship started.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about what you observed with the cows. You said that deplorable conditions. What was the farmer doing to the cows?
Well, before I really understood what the animal ordinances were here in Switzerland, concerning farm animals, I didn't know at that time, but my common sense told me that, what he was doing was not correct. First of all, they were locked in a very small shed, and they were separated from the larger herd that was in the larger barn.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed he only let them out every 6th or 7th day, which obviously my common sense told me was not appropriate. And also, he never cleaned the stall. They were laying knee high.
Oh my gosh!
In their manure,
yeah.
And they were dirty, and as several times as I started visiting the farm every day, there was no water for them to drink. And I would confront him on these issues and say, please let the cows out, please clean the stall, please give them water. And I actually started bringing over my own apples and carrots, and they would be standing in their little stall waiting for me to come. Eventually, he saw that I was forming an attachment for the animals, and I begged him to please, lift the bar and let them out. And he did do that. I have to admit, in the beginning, he tried to say, okay, she likes the animals, she wants to feed them a few carrots and apples, let them out, because he realized when he let them out of the stall, they would come running to the back of our house begging for food, right? Mm-hmm. So that maybe angered him. I'm not sure. But he did leave them out, and they were out for several months then at that time. He did not lock them up any further. They could go back and forth into their shed. And during those few months, I was able to form a very nice relationship with them, because I could visit with them several times a day. I fed them. They actually laid right behind the fence, so that they were directly just a few feet, from the edge of the fence, right down at our house, because it was a rather nice little pasture, and there were several houses that bordered the pasture, but they laid behind our house. They felt they belonged there, and the cows, I think, came to view me as their nurturing mother. And I have to say, their attachment for me was very, very special. There was a special event I have to tell you that I think your listeners would just find it incredible, because it brought all the neighbors out of their homes to behold the spectacle.
Yeah, what happened?
One day, Baby and her newborn calf escaped from the farm. Oh. They ran down the main street in between cars and traffic, and then they made a left-hand turn. I mean, the farm is not exactly right around the corner from us. They made another left-hand turn, went down another street, and they landed at our house and actually waited by our front door.
Wow.
And we were not
incredible.
home. We unfortunately were shopping. But when we came home, the neighbors came running over and they said, you will not believe what just happened. And, of course, the farmer came. He was very angry, and he beat Baby and her calf all the way back to the barn with a stick.
Oh, my.
Just to give you an idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And do you think that he beat the cows regular? Did you see that besides that incident?
Well, just to give you a little bit background about the farmer.
Yeah, tell me about the farmer.
He was very, very stubborn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he rejected most of my appeals to take better care of the cows. In addition to neglecting the cows' basic requirements, he did. He often beat them when he felt like it. I caught him one day, because I actually heard Mama, the mama of Baby, screaming. And I ran out of the house, and here he had a large metal bucket, a huge metal bucket, and he was hitting her across her back. And she was running around the field screaming. As soon as he saw me, obviously he dropped the metal pail. But it was just one of many events that I can tell you how he treated his animals.
That's incredible.
According to the neighbors, the farmer was totally dominated by his wife. Mm-hmm. And just to give you a little background about something of his character, in one incident, when I shouted down his wife, we were having an argument about cleaning the barn. He actually turned. He had his back facing his wife, and he was facing me. And when I was yelling at her, he smiled, and he just absolutely enjoyed the entire affair. It's just unbelievable. He also played nasty jokes on the children. One little girl, he made her cry. She came hysterical, running to my home, and said, she had a little favorite cow. It was called Little Brown Cow. And she was just hysterical. She said, he killed Little Brown Cow. And I said, Merritt, what are you talking about? And I ran over to the farm, and I said, did you slaughter her? Did you slaughter Little Brown Cow? And then he laughed. He says, no, I didn't, but I felt like telling her that. I said, you just made this child hysterical. And he just laughed at me, and he laughed at her. In fact, she told me when he told her that, she kicked him. She was so upset. She kicked him in the leg, and then she ran over to me. But it's very, very very bad. Yeah. I felt that the farmer was disconnected from his family, as well as from his cows.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit. Do you know about his family? Can you tell us a little bit about his family? What you knew?
Yeah. Well, you can imagine over the 2 years that I've been caring for these animals, that I gathered information from anywhere I could. But many people, when they saw us feeding the cows on the giant pasture, stopped along the trail and would strike up a conversation. And we also got to know a few local citizens here who've lived here all their lives. And evidently, the farmer came from a family of 11 children, and none of the children got along. I was told they've been fighting in the courts for decades over the sale of inherited properties. And we were told that the farmer inherited the farm after his father's death. His father evidently committed suicide because of gambling debts.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
And we just found this out recently. We found this out just several months ago, that his father committed suicide. It was never in the media, and very, very few people know that fact. But I happen to have a neighbor here in the building that I live that grew up with one of the sisters of the farmer, and they were best friends. And this is very intimate information. Not too many people within the community know that fact. They knew he was a gambler, and they knew that he had accrued debts, but they didn't know how he died.
Yeah, I guess they're going to know now.
Suicide.
I guess they're going to know now.
They're going to know now.
Yeah.
But his father also raised cows and horses for meat and abused his animals as well. That is fact.
His father.
Pardon?
I said his father raised the cows.
His father raised horses and cows as well for meat and also abused his animals. And that is fact. God. Many people here who live long in the community, who border the farm, have told me that. That's at least 8 or 9 individuals have told me that who've grown up here in Kreuzlingen.
Yeah. Oh my!
I met an older woman in her 80s, a native of Kreuzlingen, who's known the family over 50 years.
Oh my gosh!
And she said that after the death of the father, the farmer immediately had all of the horses slaughtered the next day. He absolutely hated the horses.
Oh wow!
Yeah. My opinion could be also is that the father may have even though he sold the horses for meat, maybe in some deranged way he had a relationship with the horses that perhaps he found the company of the horses better than his son. And it could be because the farmer has told, many of the children have come to the farm, stories. Obviously, I didn't have that kind of relationship with the farmer, but he told many a story to the children who came over there to help out on the farm, or he was doing a little PR work for the community, so to speak. And the farmer did tell this little girl and her brother that that his father liked the horses better than him. So that comes in as just sort of secondhand information, but who knows? And it's interesting. The farmer has 5 sons, and none of them want to work on the farm. None of them want to take the farm over.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, this is a great example of generations of abuse, and this is very much of what I've termed a perfect family storm, and there's been a lot of storms in that family, and unfortunately, not only do they take it out on the people, but they also take out their anger and hostility on the animals.
I always felt that his relationship with his wife, she seemed to be in control. And I think that because he felt out of control with her, he used the animals. He had total power over the cows.
Yeah.
And that for him was very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, when people feel out of control, they do, crazy things. And one of those things, is to abuse people, psychologically abuse people, and animal cruelty. This is quite interesting that, he doesn't, his sons do not want to come around, or any of his kids, they don't want to come around him. So that does say something. But in all this negativity, what were the positive things that the animals did for you to soothe, I guess, your lonely soul, right? I mean, having this close relationship, this relationship that you had with the cows. In fact, I remember you even saying that, that the farmer was very jealous of the relationship that you had because the cows listened to you. And someone who's feeling very, out of control gets very, jealous of somebody who, has, won over the hearts, and, and the cows were following you. They cared about you. But what was it that you felt came out of that negative situation? What were the cows? How did they soothe you?
Well, I have to say, if you look at what was going on in my life, the cows gave me a focus. Mm-hmm. They gave me love, affection. Uh-huh. They gave me confidence. I also had a routine. I had a routine of, cutting grass, getting water, collecting apples. In the fall, I collected apples, collected pears, went to retrieve carrots, and every day the carrots had to be cut, and for the calves, the apples had to be cut. I mean, there was a huge amount of work that went into that. And having that routine and work and focus sort of distracted me from the other problems. And when I came to the realization that it was impossible to find a job here, I can't tell you how depressing that was.
Right.
And the cows needed me. The cows needed me. They focused me. They gave me back what was at that time, lacking in my life. And they saved me in a roundabout way.
Yeah. Yeah, animals can do that. In fact, you mentioned a lot of the things that I was going to mention, some tips of how animals can help us through difficult situations. And you talked about that, pets can provide unconditional love and companionship and the opportunity to have a close connection and lifting your loneliness and isolation. And the other thing that you said, that they gave you a responsibility and a routine for taking care of the animals, and a sense of of your own values and importance, and a positive focus in your life. And the other thing is that you said that they, it helps build self-confidence. Certainly. When you're feeling depressed, your confidence is down. I mean, there was a lot of things that, were going against you in life, and this was one thing that really it built you up and gave you, independence and competency. And let's not forget, pets just make you improve your mood. They do funny things. I mean, can you think of something that baby did that really I'm going to say tickled your heart? What was something that was so cute and adorable?
Well, something that was very cute is that when we were walking through the forest, I taught baby a couple English words. And I would yell through the forest, "Come, baby, come." And she would hear from all the way on the other side of the trail. She would go, "Moo, moo," and she would actually run to the picnic table.
Oh.
And by the time we got to the top of the hill, she was waiting there. And that was very endearing because she answered us.
Wow.
And it was always very cute too, because when we were at the picnic table before, if they were on the other side of the pasture, as they made their way to the picnic table, and her little head would pop up through the forest, and I'd say, "Come, baby, come," and she would gallop like a little pony.
Oh.
And that was just very, very endearing.
Yeah.
And I have to say something that's extremely special that most people probably would never know about a cow is that, first of all, cows are one of the very few animals in the world that cry real tears.
Oh.
And yeah. And also that when I had an opportunity to be in the stall, there was a platform where the hay was put on for them to feed, and they were then standing lower than the platform. And when they lay down, then they would be even with the platform. And I would lay on the platform with my legs sort of stretched, and baby would put her head on my lap. And I would stroke her head and pet it, just as if you would pet a dog. Just like you would pet a dog
or a cat or
exactly.
A rabbit.
Wow. And she has little tufts of white hair on the top of her head, and I would take my finger and kind of roll the little tufts of hair around my finger, like you would do with a dog, or even with a child.
Oh my
gosh!
And
she just loved it, and I just would never imagine that you could be so close to an animal like this. And believe me, before I moved to Switzerland, I did not know anything about cows.
Yes.
Except about hamburgers. is about it. I'm sadly to say that was my extent of it. And milk, right?
Right.
Where do hamburgers come from, and where does milk come from?
Right.
That was my ignorance.
Yeah.
But
now
wow, did they
you learned
change
that
me?
cows are just so much have that human emotion and really can make that attachment. Yeah.
They cry when they lose their calves, right?
Oh,
Baby
wow.
cried tears when she lost her mother.
Oh.
And the mothers cry tears when they lose their calves.
Oh.
So it's a very wrenching experience.
Yeah.
And I live with them day in and day out for over 2 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Diane, I think we're running out of time now, but I want to let our listeners know that, you're going to continue the story of one special cow called Baby. And how
our beloved Baby.
Yeah, and how this is a very sad tale, but a very important one for people to listen to, and how it will touch the souls of many. So anyway, I wanted to thank you for joining us at Perfect Family Storms with Dr. Kathy.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
I really appreciate that.
Sure.
I really appreciate getting the story of Baby out and about, because it's also a lesson and education.
Yes. So we look forward to hearing from you
much.
Next week then. Okay?
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.